So hey everyone, hope everyone's doing all right. I know I've had a bit of a long week, not for any particular reason. It just kind of feels like it's been very busy, a lot going on, a lot of things, demanding energy and attention, and it's all kind of been a little bit harder to just, energy that is normally for other things usually ends up kind of being devoted just to keep things running, and it's we made it to Friday, but it just seemed, at least for me personally, that it's been a very long week, and maybe that's just the way things are right now with a lot of what's going on. But I'm doing what I can to try and stay as positive and optimistic as I can. But in writing news, I'm currently working, at least for the foreseeable future, on getting a couple of projects to the state where they will be ready for release. I know that a lot of them have some editing that needs to be done, and of course, there's the publication work, and I have to secure some covers and a bunch of other things. And there's a lot of things that are probably going to take my energy, at least for the short term. And I'm going to try and focus on these various projects, trying to get them all in a state that I think they're suitable for being ready to release, and then kind of just working on that while I get the next batch of projects ready, because I think, according to my notes, that's what I was originally planning to do, but somehow I had gotten a little sidetracked working on other things. Sometimes when I'm working on creative works, I would say that also I tend to focus on what's flowing at the time, and maybe that's what everybody else does. I don't know, but uh, sometimes it's hard to stay focused on the project that I should be focusing on, and I don't know if that's just an author thing or an artist thing or whatnot. But that being said, the immediate goal for right now is to spend a lot of energy and time getting these projects done and out the door, or at least getting them to the state where they're ready, so that I can move forward, because I think that's the best way to handle this at the moment. I've also been trying to work on focusing on getting things to the point where, you know, um, rather than feeling the inclination to wipe it clean and start over, at certain points, just keep putting stuff on the board until it sticks and or clicks. It's just it's I'm getting there. It's like there's still a lot of issues that I know that I have, and I know that um, asking people to look at my stuff, is still kind of a little bit nerve wracking, more so perhaps than the work itself. Um, I don't know, just because maybe for everybody, it's just a lot of this stuff is really, uh, really near and dear to me, and it just, I guess I'm always, always afraid of, the thing I really like being picked apart, or the part of it that I don't want to lose, that sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just normal jitters or something, but in any case, the work continues, and or it must, because you know such is the way of things. But that's where I am for right now. I'm working on looking over Winterfall 2, in between trying to get Winterfall 1 ready for publication, and doing some tweaks to a couple of other projects. I did a take of this already, so I don't know if I mentioned it, but the Blue Moon anthology, which will be sort of meant to tide people over between 1 and 2, which I know it's been a long time, but such is the way of how my brain was working at the time. But at the very least, I want to try and finish one more story to complete an even dozen, and then I will start getting that one ready as well. But in the meantime, I might see if anybody's interested in looking at some of the pieces and just seeing what kind of feedback I get on that sort of thing. Um, there's also a project that I'm working on called Vanguard, which I suppose technically was finished or was very close to finished, and much like some of the others, it needs to be gone over, refined, and released. And that's the part, that's the plan for phase one. For phase one of what I'm doing right now. Once I finish all of that, then we can start working on phase two, which will be the next set of projects, which are a couple of things I'm really looking forward to working on. But one thing at a time. It's like, trying to work on multiple projects at different stages. It hasn't really been working so well. So I'm hoping that if I concentrate on these ones that are ready or almost ready to be done, and get them done, then I can focus on this next batch of projects and just sort of keep them going, I guess, in a cycle. And maybe depending on how things develop, things might I might change, the order of some things, or just sort of take it one step at a time. Um, but let's see. In video news, obviously I'm doing a vlog. I'm going to work on editing When the World Was Young and start putting that together. I may or may not have time to record audio for a couple of other videos, but I have completed the script for the Changeling Tale review, so that will be worked on and hopefully be produced soon. I have also finished the script for the Far Flung review, so that'll be in the pipeline relatively soon. And I say relatively because I work several months in advance, and my production cycle is somewhat slow, but it's consistent. So it'll be produced eventually, and I think it'll be probably the first one to be in the new format, because I've decided to get rid of the pauses and the sections of the review and just go straight through it. Um, I think I don't know. I think it'll flow better, but we'll try that and we'll see how that works. And obviously, any changes take a while because I turn like a cruise ship. It takes a while for the work I've already completed to be released, and for new work to get into the pipeline and get through the Patreon and do everything else. But anywho, appreciate everybody bearing with me, and if you enjoy the reviews, then thank you so much. But hopefully they turn out to be useful, because I try and provide um, information that would help somebody else decide if they want to read this book or not. So I try and avoid spoilers. If I do, I always put them in a tagged section, spoilers ahead, and so on. So hopefully people find it useful. um, but that'll probably be it for today. Books I'm reading. Well, as y'all might know, if you look at my Goodreads, which I've decided to try and start keeping up with now a little bit more, uh, open the channel. I'm reading Nana Visitor's book. I just finished reading the section on Kate Mulgrew today, which was a nice, healthy 13 pages. I think next Jennifer Lean, and or maybe it's Jerry Ryan. It's one of the two, and I'll be reading the Voyager section for the next couple of weekends, I think, before moving on to Enterprise and so on. Um, so far it's a really interesting book, and it's about Star Trek and the influence it has on its audience, and how it's affected like mentalities towards women in the workplace and things like that. And of course, there's a lot of interesting Star Trek tidbits in there as well. I mean, I highly recommend it if you're interested in social issues, if you're a fan of Nana Visitor, if you're a fan of Star Trek in general. It's like, I think it's kind of a book that really possesses some interesting insights that most people probably wouldn't necessarily be aware of, and I think it's worth everybody's time to read. Um, I'm also working on Come to Dust. I think I'm about 72% of the way through the book, so I'm closing in on finishing that one. Most likely, it will be the next one to be completed and entered into the pipeline for video production, for review of that as well. Meeting Dominique. I am reading Royce Day's most recent release. Of course, as you all know, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that Royce is one of my favorite authors. I usually enjoy reading his work. Meeting Dominique is, as described by the back cover. Have you ever wished you had a fairy god dominant? Which kind of, I think he told me, started from a short story or something that eventually became a larger piece. And so far I've read the first 4 chapters. Uh, you know, I've my initial impressions are good. I would say that it's probably something that is, I guess, an area of my interest, but not one that I have a whole lot of experience in. So it's kind of something that I'm looking forward to exploring, because the kind of scenario that I think would be fun to be involved in, but it's also something that, I don't have the first clue how to approach such things. But that being said, it's interesting. Uh, I mean, early. I'm trying to avoid blubbering here, but it's like so far, I'd say it's a good book. It's starting out well. A couple of minor issues. Something that I would consider, just like, I guess, an awkwardness here. And something like that. There was a lateral issue, which Royce knows about, and basically for the most part, it's enjoyable so far. I'll say that because it's like it looks like right now I'm at a quarter of the book, which I guess would be technically considered, for the most part, Act One. Um, and I'm looking forward to it so far. I don't know what to say about it just yet because it's just kind of taking, I guess, more time to digest. But so far, it's been an interesting window, I guess, into a setting for a book that I might normally not necessarily be open to if it wasn't by somebody that I really enjoy. And that's not to say that I haven't read um, kink stuff before. It's like I have, and I mean, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It all varies, but so far so good. At least as far as meeting Dominique is concerned. I'm looking forward to reading some more of it. I'm probably going to read a little bit more next weekend and just kind of work its way through the system. It's probably fast tracked a little bit because normally I would take my time, but I have had a request to produce a review quicker than I normally would, so it will probably be put into the pipeline as soon as is capable, rather than where it would normally be placed, which might mean that some things might get bumped down a little bit, or I might trade spots with something, which is fine. But so far, I like Minerva a lot. Our character is interesting, and I'm kind of looking forward to learning more about her character and just exactly how she factors into all this. Um, let's see. I can say that it is based on post-COVID Amsterdam, which I think was relayed to me, when he was writing the story, and I guess at least at the moment, that's all I really want to. That's all I really think I can say without getting into without knowing what I should say or shouldn't say yet. I don't know, but so far so good. I will say that as usual, Royce has my attention. Um, and sorry if that was rambly. It's like it's all. I guess it's in part because I'm reading it faster than normal. That the time that things normally take to percolate in my brain hasn't occurred yet, um, entirely. Just because things my brain takes time to process things, and it's like I've as I've had before. It's like sometimes it takes time for me. It's like to read something and then to sort of digest how I feel about it and things of that nature. But I mean, so far I will say no, it's positive. How positive, we'll see. It's because it's like I said, too soon for me to tell, and I will see. But that's the other book I'm reading right now. Next, when I get an opening, my plan is to read. I think it's Reborn by Jay Stoats. That's the plan anyway, and then we'll see what happens after that. Depending on how Come to Dusk goes, I may or may not read the second one, but we'll see how this one wraps up first. And as far as games, um, I'm right now just kind of I'm working on STO as I always am, playing a lot of ESO because I'm finding the more I play it, the more I really kind of like the world and the setting. Um, I'm still trying to finish Trails of Cold Steel 4. I think I'm at the area right before the last section of the game, so hopefully soon I can get into Trails of Reverie. I'm also back into Horizon Zero Dawn because I'm trying to finish and check that one off the list before I go back to Dragon's Dogma 2. I was trying to play Final Fantasy IV online on Friday, but it ended up needing an update that was going to take an hour, which was exactly the time I had to play. So, it's a little frustrating because some of these updates take a long time, and I don't necessarily have, I don't necessarily know that there's an update until it's already, that time or something. But at some point, I still need to get back to finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake and then decide what I'm doing with that. But I mean, I guess that's it for now. So it's about 15 minutes, so I guess I should wrap it up anyway. But I will chat with y'all in a couple weeks.
If you like werewolves, check out my book Blue Moon, available in paperback and ebook on Amazon.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, click the subscribe button and leave a comment below. You can also find me on Twitter and a few other places on the web, or support me via Patreon or Ko-fi. Zebra hugs!